A Newsbud investigation into U.S. and international plans to advance a global transition from fossil fuels to renewable energy has uncovered a joint initiative of the Clinton Foundation, Rockefeller Philanthropy Advisors and other governmental and non-governmental organizations to exploit Native American tribal land and resources in the service of multinational corporate interests. In many respects, this initiative parallels the Green Revolution of the 1960s, an earlier global philanthropic initiative spearheaded by the Rockefellers. In the 1960s, farming throughout the developing world was undergoing an industrial revolution of sorts, which has come to be known as the Green Revolution. Throughout the 1950s, in the lead-up to this Green Revolution, former Assistant Secretary of State Dean Rusk, then president of the Rockefeller Foundation, 1952 to 1961, shifted the foundation's focus to promoting agricultural productivity and food security in developing nations. In the aftermath of World War II, which left a global climate of economic and political uncertainty, the foundation, under Rusk, also actively supported U.S. foreign policy, promoting sustainable agriculture and ensuring food security in strategically significant, third-world countries, Rusk believed, could stem the spread of communism. The Rockefeller Foundation, in partnership with the Department of State's DOS, United States Agency for International Development, USAID, and other philanthropic groups, established a network of agricultural research centers in several countries. To justify these actions, the foundation marketed the program as being urgently needed to stave off the specter of imminent, catastrophic famine and drought, which it claimed was the inevitable consequence of unsustainable global population growth. Through research and innovation, synthetic fertilizers, industrial farming techniques and selective breeding, the program exponentially increased crop yields in the target regions. It was, however, not without cost. While the foundation claimed to be helping the poor, its actions tended instead to further subjugate them while wealthy landowners and the oil industry made a killing. Doing what they do best, the industrial capitalist Rockefellers structured their program for maximum profit, not for meeting the nutritional or cultural needs of the native people. In fact, the farmers initially rejected the new, high-cost, high-yield seeds, dependent on fertilizer, synthesized from petroleum, and industrial farming technology. They capitulated, however, when water shortages and government-fixed, high wheat prices made it necessary. The program's initial success was soon overshadowed by the resulting rapid population growth. That, combined with the resulting decreased crop biodiversity and overfarming, stripped the soil of nutrients, needing ever more land and resources, from which the Rockefellers profited greatly. Perhaps that is why George Harrer, the foundation's president in the 1960s, called the program the conquest of hunger. In virtual lockstep with the Green Revolution of 40-plus years ago, today's green energy revolution looks to have been pulled straight out of the old playbook. The overall strategy is the same. Step 1. Galvanize public opinion with an impending global catastrophe, for which the only solution is urgent, unwavering action. In the 1960s, Rockefeller Foundation President George Harrer used the specter of catastrophic famine precipitated by exponential population growth. Today's U.S. political and financial elites warn of the specter of catastrophic, man-made global warming, albeit based on biased research and questionable data. Steps 2 and 3, cooped the power of the state to strengthen the foundation's global influence. Commoditize and consolidate the world's natural resources under the centralized control of a global hegemon. Throughout the 1950s, the Rockefeller Foundation was a revolving door through which former and future State Department members passed. Also, as a former Assistant Secretary of State, the Foundation's president, Dean Rusk, used its agricultural philanthropy as a weapon against communism. Into the 1960s, the Foundation both served the U.S. national security agenda, and generated tremendous profits through its development scheme of outsourcing industrialized farming. In September of 2009, during Hillary Clinton's first year as Secretary of State, USAID teamed up with J.P. Morgan and the Rockefeller Foundation to establish the Global Impact Investing Network, GIN, with a mission to accelerate the development of an effective impact investing industry. The nations targeted by its investments, although poverty-stricken, were expected to yield returns, and thus their developing assets were beholden to the globalist, corporate elites. In the joint strategic plan through 2017, the U.S. Department of State and USAID expressed the desire to further centralize global governance, and to forge an international agreement, applicable to all nations, that would significantly limit the right of those nations to produce their own energy, independent of a centrally regulated and enforced global market. The DOS and USAID, in their own words, intend to lead the global fight against climate change with aggressive, smart and effective action, using diplomatic tools to ensure the other nations comply with their international agreements. A microcosm of this plan, currently underway at the national level, is the Clinton Global Initiatives, CGI, Joint Wind Power Development Project on tribal lands. Through CGI America, 6 Sioux tribes combine their resources and, accepting investments from the Rockefeller Foundation, the Ford Foundation and other powerful governmental and non-governmental entities and philanthropies, established the OCT Sakine Power Authority, OSPA, an industrial wind farm project, on tribal land. While the authority will technically own the wind assets, the power they generate will be shipped off throughout the United States, while the vast majority of the profits will go to pay off the massive debt the OSPA accrued from the very corporate giants that have pillaged their sacred land and resources for centuries. With none other than the Rockefeller Foundation running 350.org's campaign against fossil fuels, the enemy has coopted the movement, and will profit.